Welcome to Slayer the Alchemist, where we discuss all things heavy metal and hard rock. On today's episode, if I could make a 10-track AC/DC album, if somebody came to me and said, hey, I'll press a vinyl record for you, pick 10 AC/DC songs, what would I pick? You may say, well, isn't this just your 10 favorite songs? Yeah, of course, obviously I like all these songs, but there's a lot of consideration here that I have to think about and put into song order. What would be the first song, side one, first song, side two, last song on each side, the flow of the whole thing. So I put a lot of thought into that. And these are kind of like the songs that right now, if somebody were to make an album for me right now, these are the songs that I would want on it. So I left off a bunch of, what I would consider to be very classic AC/DC songs that maybe I'm a little bit burnt out on. Darren and I did this with Sabbath Sunday, and it was a lot of fun. So going to try it here with AC/DC. Not easy to do. AC/DC, one of my big bands. I've talked about how AC/DC and Back in Black in particular was the album that got me really into hard rock and heavy metal. So this was kind of tricky, especially when you're balancing the Bon Scott era, the Brian Johnson era. Again, being conscious of the flow of the record, what opens and closes each side of the record. So, okay, side one for me. Song one on side one, the opening of the album would be Hell's Bells. The tolling bell at the beginning, great. Love the ominous mood of the whole song. Opens up Back in Black, and it's a song that I'm not burnt out on, even though it does get its fair amount of play on classic rock radio. I think it's a great song. Brian Johnson's delivery on it is fantastic. Love the dark sounding guitar chords and stuff. Angus, great guitar solo. So number one for me would be Hell's Bells. Okay, number two, second song on side one would be Sin City. I love when AC/DC plays slightly minor key, darker sounding stuff here. Sin City, one of my favorite Bond songs. That riff is so heavy, man, when it kicks in. You have that little intro part, and then when the whole thing kicks in, it's just so powerful when the bass starts chugging away on the eighth note. It's just great. Bond's vocal delivery, fantastic. When everything drops down and it's just the bass and Bond's doing the ladders and snakes. I think that's great. When I was younger, I never understood I thought he was saying letters and snakes. I didn't understand ladders and snakes, with the one-arm bandits and stuff like that. I didn't get that as a kid, but makes total sense now. Super cool. Love Bond's vocals on this. And then when he kicks in after that quiet part, Fingers Freddy, Diamond Jim, just great, man. Love it. And Angus's solo is just off the cuff kind of craziness. He's just driving up on the neck and everything till he gets to that really high note. Fantastic. All right, number three for me, and this is maybe a slightly deep cut, even though they had a video for this song and everything. I think this song should have been bigger than it was. So number three on side one for me would be Put the Finger on You. Always loved that song, love the energy of it. I remember having had Back in Black, and then For Those About to Rock being like, I was there for when it came out. Love this song. I always loved the video for it. That sort of pick the guitar intro that Angus plays is super cool, and Brian's delivery on this is great. So love it. Okay, number four for me would be another Bond song, Back to the Highway to Hell album with Walk All Over You. The intro to this is so cool with those big drum hits and drum fills, Phil Rudd's toms sounding big and huge here. When the whole thing kicks in and gets really heavy, it's just awesome. And I've always dug that chorus where it drops down into a halftime feel and you've got those background vocals to Walk All Over You. Something that I almost said Martin Birch, not Martin Birch, Mutt Lange. I was just doing some BOC thing for somebody and talking about Martin Birch. Mutt Lange, he was great at background vocals, see Def Leppard. And, AC/DC is not a band with a bunch of harmonies and stuff like that, but they do have really cool background vocals, and he really brings them out, and I think they work great on this song. So song number four, side one, Walk All Over You. All right. The end of side one for me, fifth song on side one, last song on side one. For me, it's got to be Let There Be Rock. Epic, one of their most epic numbers, maybe. Bond, the way he sort of tells the story of the origin of rock and roll with just the bass and the drums underneath him there is great. Love the leads that Angus plays. Love the way it it's down on an E chord there for the verse, and then it moves up to the A for right after that for the chorus, and those guitar stabs, that's just great. I love Angus's solo where he does that slide down, love it, and the song just keeps building and building to the ending where it's just like total chaos and just all this stuff going on. Love it. Epic. One of my favorite AC/DC songs. So it ends side one for me. Okay, side two opens with Livewire. This is a song that the band used as a concert opener for many years. And it totally works, and it makes sense because it just starts off with the bass all by itself, and then those quiet guitar chords there, and until it all kicks in with the drums, and even Bond's vocal delivery in the beginning. I love the way he says that line, kind of subdued and quiet, but he goes, "If you're looking for trouble, I'm the man to see." That is just great. Only when Bond says it, you believe him. I think I did a video on my favorite vocalists, and I mentioned Bon Scott, and I mentioned how his lyrics, it's like you believe everything that he sings. It doesn't sound like he's making up a story. And this is another song that builds really nicely when Angus does that repeated guitar figure, and the whole band is just underneath him doing those hits. Fantastic. The last verse there when Bond comes in, cooler than a body on ice. Great. Bond was always really good at the last verse of a song. He would sort of take his voice into an upper range to just make the last verse of the song feel like it lifts up, and he does it here. Great song. Had to have it open up side two for me. Okay, let's see. Number 2 on side 2 is another Bond song, Hell Ain't a Bad Place to Be, Let There Be Rock, one of my favorite AC/DC records, and I've always loved this song, those big, huge chords at the beginning, man. It's just the sound of like a band in the studio with cranked amplifiers. It's just really electric, man. You can feel the electricity coming off of it when they drop down into that groove there, and the guitars are playing those kind of tight, choppy lines. It's just awesome. And Bond's delivery again, it feels like he's telling a story, I love the line, spends my money, drinks my booze, goes out every night. Just great. The chorus is fantastic in it. I love Angus's guitar solo. It's so simple, but yet it's so effective. Just love that song. Had to be on my list. Number 2 on side 2. Song 3 on side 2 for me, Guns for Hire. I've ranted and raved about how I feel Flick of the Switch is just a great underappreciated record. I did a video on Flick of the Switch. I'll try to remember to link in the description my other AC/DC videos. Guns for Hire, maybe my favorite song off that record. Love the way it starts with Angus just kind of by himself until he starts kicking in with the rhythm, and then there's that drum fill, and the whole band comes in super heavy. The verse kind of lifts up, but then the chorus, everything drops down again and gets really intense. Love it. Love Brian Johnson's vocals on this one, and another Angus solo where he's doing this sort of crazy stuff where he's like kind of climbing up the neck. Great. Love it. Okay, number 4 for me, one of my favorite Bon Scott vocal songs, Touch Too Much. Wouldn't call it a ballad, but it's sort of more laid back, more in the pocket. Bond sounds fantastic on it. The part in the song where everything kind of drops down, and you got the background vocals again. Mutt Lange really doing a great job with the background vocals, doing the touch too much. That's just great, and Bond singing around that, fantastic. Just love it, man. Such a great chorus to that song. Just a fantastically written song. All right, number 5 for me. Had to put this in here. Song I've heard a lot, but I'm not burnt out on. There's songs that if I looked at my overarching history of AC/DC that I would have to put in here, like You Shook Me All Night Long and stuff, but I'm kind of burnt out on those songs. Highway to Hell, kind of the same thing. But song number 5, the album closer for me, has got to be For Those About to Rock. We Salute You. So epic. The song builds so well, that picked guitar thing, Angus at the beginning. The way this song picks up speed at the end, I just love the whole chorus of the song. Fantastic. The slides on the guitar and the verses and everything is just great. And the way the song just keeps building at the end, and Brian just shouting out, shoot, shoot, and the cannons going off, and then it ends in the big epic chord, and he just goes, fire, and then the chords slide up like that. Absolutely epic. Totally love it. It opens up For Those About to Rock, but for me, it's going to close my 10-song AC/DC album. So, all right, there you go. my 10 song AC/DC album, somebody comes to me, says, hey, I'll make you a vinyl record. This is what it would be for me. What would it be for you? You know, keep in mind sequencing, track order, and stuff like that. How would you guys do it? What would be your 10 song AC/DC album? Let me know in the comments down below. Till we see you again, make sure you rock hard, ride free.